Alright, guys, so let's talk about the number one thing that's helping me lose weight right now. In the past 12 weeks, I've lost 12 pounds, which is pretty good. It's where you're supposed to be. In these 12 weeks, I skipped workouts, skipped cardio, um, had low step days, uh, wasn't perfect. So what is it that is allowing me to lose weight? It's the calorie deficit. And I want to be very clear. When I mean calorie deficit, I mean calorie deficit. I don't mean like a perfect, healthy, super clean diet. I mean a calorie deficit. I am eating less than my requirements allow. So, um, to start off, I guess, uh, people, what people think about like when dieting. The number one thing that people think is like you gotta be perfect. Like if you mess up one day, then that's it. You're done. That's not true. I wanna share this link here or this thing. Let's see. Okay. So this is from Tom Veneer's website, Burn the Fat. Um, he kind of goes into all the different types of diets. So the main takeaway from this is that if you want to eat once a day, then eat once a day. If you want to just eat French fries all day, as long as all those French fries equal to less than whatever you're burning, then you're gonna lose weight. So here Tom Venuto breaks down like all the popular diets. Um, so we got ketogenic diet. How does it really work? It creates a calorie deficit. So why people think it works? People think it works because you're cutting carbs so low that you reach ketosis and puts you in a fat burning mode. This was actually my number one method of losing weight, and it is so unsustainable. Um, But the reason why you lose weight is not because of this fancy jargon. It's because it creates a calorie deficit. Low carb lowers insulin, which stops fat storage and allows fat to be released from cells. That's what people think, right? And it could be true, but really, why it works is it creates a calorie deficit. Low fat, intermittent fasting creates a calorie deficit. Paleolithic, gluten free, wheat free. I mean, if you're, you know, eating a lower calorie version of a food that you already eat, then it's going to create a calorie deficit. This is what Greg Doucette's whole thing was. People got like all up in arms about his cookbook, and it is a lot of money. But the main driving point of that was, hey, take whatever you like to eat, but bring it into the circle, meaning that find a way to lower the calories or find another alternative or reduce the portion or do something in a way that you can still enjoy what you like to eat, but um, you're eating at a calorie deficit. You're creating that space, that deficit between what you actually burn and what you're actually eating. I love the story about this professor who ate Twinkies. So this guy ate over the course of 10 weeks. He just ate Twinkies. He reduced his calorie intake from 2,500 to 1,800. And at the end of those 10 weeks, he lost 27 pounds. He got better results than I did. I'm at around 1,850 calories. His body fat dropped by nearly 10%. Bad cholesterol dropped. Good cholesterol increased. The results have astounded nutritionists. Like, number one thing is if you get into a calorie deficit, you lose weight. If you lose weight, a lot of these body markers will go down. Your blood tests will like be better. I mean, I'm not like a scientist or anything. I'm a layman who likes to read this kind of stuff, but that's really it. Like that's the number one thing you got to do. And this is the number one thing that people avoid doing. They will try everything. I mean, look at all the variations of diets we've come up with, right? Why? Because people wanna frame it a different way. You know, this is better, that's better. But really, as long as you're getting the calorie deficit, then you're gonna lose weight. Whether or not something is sustainable, that I think is the real key. So what makes my diet sustainable right now is because I'm not depriving myself of foods that I enjoy, right? 90% of the time, not even 90% of the time. I would say, let's say out of 7 days, 4 days of the week, my diet is very close to my protein targets. My carbs and fat are kind of up and down, but about 5 to 6 out of the 7 days a week, my calories are below 1850 or at least below 1900. I go up a few days, and sometimes even when I go up, I actually lose weight the following day because sometimes your body just needs a break because dieting itself is very stressful. But that's a very minute point, and it doesn't apply to everyone. And it definitely doesn't apply to you if you've only been dieting, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks, right? And if it feels hard, then maybe your deficit was too aggressive. Now, going back to this professor, his deficit was about 700 calories, right? I think mine is about 500, maybe. And now he went from 2500 to 1800. So we don't know if 2500 was actually his maintenance. It could have been he was gaining weight at 2500. I think my maintenance is around 2200. So I am actually at about 400. Yeah, 3 to 400 calorie deficit, which is pretty moderate. It's not extreme at all. I would say when you get down to 5 to 600, that's when you're kind of pushing it. But hey, I start feeling hungry if my trainer says, hey, let's eat 1650, right? That is when I start feeling hungry. And if I were to stay at 1650 for an extended period of time, 100%, I would rebound and I would quit. So it's very important to take this slow, take this within what you're capable of doing. This other interesting thread here was how do I even get into a calorie deficit? There's so many different ways. What this guy's doing here in the first guy who responded is basically saying, I simply add more healthy foods that I still find delicious. They're not the best, but they're way more filling, and it's just difficult to overeat on these higher quality replacements. So the follow up to this was that's still restriction. Could be restriction, who knows? But the point is that this person is finding alternatives that are keeping them full, which is super important. How do you actually start with the calorie deficit? I mean, there's so many different calculators out there, and the point is that just choose a calculator and assume that's where you should be, right? Um, whether it says 2200, 2300, whatever, and just go for a week. Check your weight every single day. Take the average of that weight. That is going to be your baseline. Next week, let's see what happens to your weight. Stay at the same calorie level. If it's going down, then you're good. If you feel really, really hungry and if you lost like 2 pounds or 3 pounds in the first week, yeah, maybe you can increase that calorie a little bit. I think it's I was watching a video from Derek Marplates, and he said, stay at that calorie level until if you're losing 0.1 pounds of weight on average, week over week, stay at that level. Which I thought was a very interesting concept. Um, like if you lose less than 1 pound a week, you did not fail. You did not fail. Remember, if you're lifting weights, if you're hitting your protein targets, then you might, and if you're getting stronger, you might actually be building muscle. And this is super important to understand if you're at a very high body fat. You probably don't need to worry about losing muscle, and you can definitely build muscle if you're like a beginner, if you're at a high body fat, even if you're at a calorie deficit. So these are some very important things to consider. But number one thing, if my life becomes really busy, if I cannot work out throughout the whole week, and that hasn't really happened yet, the minimum I've worked out was like 3 lifting days and 1 cardio was like the minimum, and the maximum was like 4 lifting days and 2 cardio days, 2 or 3 cardio days. So that kind of gives you a roundabout. Like, you don't need to spend hours in the gym. I don't even go to the gym. I work out at home. But yeah, number one thing, find a way to get into a calorie deficit and stick there. That's about it.